Have you ever reached out to two or three contractors and none of them get back to you? Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it happens all the time and it seems to be becoming more and more common. Well, here's one thing most people probably don't know is although it's usually not personal, it's usually not random either. Today I'm going to explain to you why contractors don't call you back and more importantly, how to get them to. Hi, my name's Gabe Daly and I've been in the paving industry for over 20 years. Before I can tell you how to increase your chances of a callback, we have to know why it happens in the first place. Let's take a behind the scenes look of the real reason contractors don't call you back. Reason number one, you sound like you're just shopping. If you say something like, "Hi, I'm so and so, I'm just trying to get some prices on my driveway," here's what they probably are thinking. Oh boy, we have another Curious George here. I bet they're going to just waste my time looking for the lowest bidder. Now, before you get defensive, it's not about being rude, it's really about the math. You see, you have to understand it from the contractor's point of view. Every estimate that he does costs time and money. You have drive time, measuring, writing up the estimate, and then following up. And all that time, that's unpaid time. So when you say I'm just shopping around or getting prices, he's thinking, well, this person is probably unlikely to close. You see, contractors live in a world of limited time and limited availability. Most paving contractors can only complete one or two driveways a day. Of course, this depends on the size of the job and the scope of the work and other considerations. But with rain delays and equipment issues or scheduling gaps, they have maybe 18 to 20 real working days per month. So time is tight, and especially in those areas where paving is really a seasonal business. So when the phone rings or they're listening to messages, they're just not hearing about the new job opportunity. They're really evaluating the probability of you following through. Number two, state your time frame clearly. Don't say whenever you have time to do the job. You need to be a little bit more specific. Say something like, we're ready to get this done in 2 to 4 weeks, or this is a spring project, or whatever the case may be. I'm closing on my house in 2 months and want to have it done by then. Make sure that you tell them what your time frame is. During the busy seasons, contractors are booked weeks, if not months in advance. If your project sounds like it's flexible, it automatically drops down the list. Reason number three, the job may not make financial sense. Now, this is one that people do not like to hear. In paving especially, the mobilization costs are astronomical. So if you have a small patch or you're far from another job or your job is very difficult or maybe it's very hard to get the equipment there and where they're going to park and things like that, they're probably going to quietly just ignore it because they don't want the job. It's not worth their time or their money, or it's just too difficult of a job. Contractors really should communicate that better if they don't want the job for whatever reason, but the reality is they just don't. Reason number four, some contractors are just straight up disorganized. They don't have any secretary or office manager or no CRM software. They don't know where they're coming or going every single day. And it's not an excuse, but unfortunately, it's a reality. Now, here's the part that can actually help you. You can dramatically increase your chance of a callback. And here's how. You need to be clear about what you want. Instead of saying, "I'm just calling about my driveway," you need to tell them exactly what it is that you want to do. Like, "I'm looking for an estimate," or, "I have a question before we schedule something." That clarity, that's going to build credibility. Tell them how you found them. Contractors, they love hearing that you found their name from somebody else, or you saw them doing a job down the street, or whatever that may be, or even that you just found them on Google and you read the reviews and they just all sounded positive, and you're excited to call and get a quote from them. They're more likely going to call you back and be communicative with you if they feel like there's already some kind of connection. And number four, this is another option too. If you make it really easy on them, let's just say that you're gonna remove and replace your existing driveway. You already have a driveway and you want to have it ripped out, and you just want to replace what's there. So the layout is staying the same, everything's staying the same. It's just time to freshen it up. Give them the option. Say, "Listen, I want to get this done soon, But you can come over here anytime. I don't have to be here. It's pretty cut and dry. Just come, measure it up, leave an estimate in the mailbox or whatever, and I'll get right back with you. Make it easy on them, and you have a good chance of them getting out there pretty quick. Also, don't forget to give them multiple ways to contact you. Some contractors, really prefer talking on the phone. Some rather text, and some are really faster by email. Make sure you tell them when they can call you back, and be realistic about this. I can't tell you how many times I didn't get done with work until 9 o'clock at night, or even later sometimes. I mean, it actually does happen. And I'm sure you really don't want me or any contractor to be calling you back at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So don't say call me back anytime, unless you really don't mind getting those calls late at night or first thing in the morning. I mean, contractors get up early. Do you really want someone to call you at 6:30 in the morning? Probably not. Maybe you do. But just the bottom line is communicate what time is good for you, for them to call you back. Make sure you're clear about that. So you've taken all these tips, and you left your messages, and you were very clear about what you wanted and your time frame and all the ways that they get back to you, and you're still not getting any kind of callbacks. Well, as a last ditch effort, you can say something like this: if I don't hear back by Friday, I guess I'm just going to have to go with another guy. Say it in a nice way, but it's going to create urgency for that contractor, because they know if they don't call you back, they're going to lose out on that job. And the truth be told, he may not care. He could be one of those contractors, and honestly, that's probably a blessing for you. But if he does care about his jobs and his work, he's going to call you back, because the last thing he wants is a competitor to get his work. So just be firm, but don't be confrontational. And this usually helps, but save it for a last resort. Serious people get serious attention. If a contractor has space for 5 estimates during the weekend, and 2 people say, hey, I'm ready to have this done within the next month or sooner, and the other 3 say, oh, I'm just looking for prices, which ones do you think he's going to prioritize and put on his list? Naturally, it's the people that are ready to move forward. Like I said earlier, there's a limited amount of time in the season to get things done. So they really are going to maximize using their time for people who are very serious. And remember, none of this is personal. It's really about, capacity management, time management. That's really what it is. It's just business. So try not to take it personal. But if you're serious about your job, use some of those tips that I just outlined, and you'll have better luck of somebody calling you back and getting something done. So you have to understand, these crews, they have to stay busy. The equipment has to keep moving, and all those bills, payroll and equipment costs. I mean, those don't stop. So that's why paving contractors are really kind of selective of who they're going to call back first. And sometimes people getting forgotten about, even though you might get dropped down to the bottom of the list because you are just shopping for a price. They'll get back to you eventually, but it may take longer than you expect. So just be aware of that. I'm saying all this, but that doesn't mean that you should not compare jobs, because you absolutely should. Rule of thumb is to always get at least 3 estimates, and that's what you have to do. If you're looking for general pricing, I'll have a video on that soon, so you can check that out. The truth is, most contractors aren't trying to ignore you. They're just prioritizing, and the way you communicate is really going to determine whether you're on the top of the list or the bottom of the list. Once again, if you want contractors to treat you like a priority, you have to sound like one. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, maybe consider subscribing. I do plan on making more videos that are going to be helping out, homeowners especially, coming from a contractor with 20 years of experience. Anyways, if you have a question about your driveway or project, please drop it in the comments. I will read all of them, and if there's not too many, I will answer all of them also. I really appreciate you watching, and don't forget, let's learn, write, and build better.